Hello, Lily Quinn here. So, based on the summary of the freehand drafting that I showed you, I went ahead and created half front and back, half of the front and back drafts, and I created these bodies pieces. Okay, traditionally, this is what you will find in a pattern booklet. Okay, any pattern that you're going to work on will have the design already in place for you. So you will take that, you cut out the design, you will grab your fabric, for example, this one. It is big enough for both front and back. So I have two pieces of that. I decide to, this is traditionally when you're working with patterns, I position it in such a way that it is sitting on my fabric. I match it and I pin, and then I go ahead and let me see, make sure I have it matching properly. Okay, so with this, you don't worry about measurements. You just make sure you have the size and you put your pattern paper on the fabric according to guidelines in the instruction sheet, and then you cut out your pattern on the fabric. And you do this. This is not freehand. This is traditional cutting of your fabric. Okay, so that is the back, and then the front, separate it, front and back. This should be enough for the front. And then you grab, remember we had a V neckline for the front, so you will place it on based on your chosen size. And this is for a simple style, okay? Like just a tank top with no sleeves and nothing. So you will go ahead and this is, you don't know how they put it together. All you care about is the cutting on your fabric, and then you apply your sewing skills to put it together. So then after this, you have your front, and then you have your back, and you take it off. If there are any notches, you put in the notches, and then you have your back, and you have your front, and you pin, let's see, go ahead and you pin them. Like that. Okay. I'm just using pins to hold it together for demonstration purposes. And you have your seam allowance, you pin at the seam allowance line. You will do the sides as well, but generally this will fit the doll because it was its measurements that I used to draft. And you can do that and keep the paper draft, and you use it every time you have to make a similar design. Okay, but this is not freehand cutting, because freehand is we cut directly on the fabric, which I'm going to show you in a second. But this is, okay, and so you would sew side and side, shoulder to shoulder, and you're good to go. Okay, this will be the back as well. Anyway, that is traditionally, that's how it's done. But when it comes to freehand, reason I love freehand cutting and sewing, based on the measurements of the parts that I showed you, We have the across shoulder, we have the underarm line, the armhole, you know, the shoulder drop, and the neckline. You can literally sketch your draft on the fabric based on the measurements that you're working with. Okay. And that's it. Once you draft, you fold it. Remember, this is two pieces. So one is for the front, the other is for the back. These are two pieces. And we fold it right side to right side. And then we fold again. We have 4 ply. Okay. And then we, based on the markings that we determine, we go ahead and we cut out. And this is freehand. Just using a person's measurements, you can literally draft these dimensions or these measurements. And I use the back dimensions to cut the whole thing. When you want to get the front, you just come here and you cut the front neckline, because the front neckline is slightly lower than the back. Not slightly, it's a whole lot lower than the back. That's it. This is it. And then you have your, the same design. Okay, let me go down a little bit. All right. And when it comes to the armhole, the front armhole goes slightly in. It's a little inner. But, this is a loose fit. So let's go ahead and pin and then drape it on the mannequin to see how the fit looks like. If you learn how to do freehand, you will never go back to pattern, because it gives you so much freedom from the constriction of pattern. That is not to say you don't have to use patterns. So there are some patterns that you learn instructions from the pattern that you really need to know. So I do both. I learn from both pattern and freehand. And that's the freehand. I'm going to turn it to the right side. I left the side open so I can put it on the mannequin. And so here she goes. That's the back, and this is the front. Does it fit her? We're about to find out. Okay. Remember, it's a loose fit, so here we go. It fits perfectly, right? This is slightly bigger than the other fabric that I had. But isn't it amazing? Yep. Okay. This is a loose fit tank top. And if you want to cinch the back to make it fitted, you can put an elastic in the back and it makes it fitted, or you can put darts in the front to make it fitted, the front and back to make it fitted. But this is the freedom that freehand cutting gives you just by knowing these measurements. Okay, these lines, bust line, armhole depth, and so on and so forth, across shoulder and things like that. You are able to literally draft it every time directly on the fabric and creating the design you need. Now, I just want to say that if you want to apply your own measurements on it, I gave a class that teaches how you do that, where you will use your own measurements, draft them on fabric. You don't need a pattern to do that. I'll take you right from beginning to making your own garment based, it's like actually making a custom fit garment for yourself. Okay, custom fits garment for yourself. So I will put the description, I'll put the link in the description box so that you're able to have this light that is in my kitchen. It's hard to get rid of it, but anyway. So you get the idea. Freehand cutting is fun, and it's, you'll be able to make a ton of stuff in a short amount of time. All right. So check the link below and register for freehand sewing lessons. Thank you.